Hello everyone. Today I will teach you guys on how to use Shaman and Mage. I will give some tips and also show examples if necessary. Without further ado, let's get started. First of all, you should understand that the main role of Shaman and Mage in the party is to keep everyone alive. Keeping this goal in mind, first thing to focus on is the chain. Most important thing to understand here is that the chain of both jobs is treated different by the game, which means both chains combine to a total of 30% attack reduction on all enemies. Note that both chains only reduce the attack, not the magic attack. And second thing to focus is the skill deck. There are many good skills, but we can only bring 6 of them in battle. These are all the skills which Shaman and Mage can use. Some of these are always in the deck. Rest of them are used depending on the situation or just to fill the slots. Generally, these are the decks used by the Shaman and the Mage. There are a few important things to keep in mind. First of all, these two are the main debuffing skills, so they will always be in the deck. And Thorn of Misery can be in either deck, or depending on the boss, both of them must bring it. As for the Moonless, Shaman can always bring it, but Mage is usually at the risk of breaking the chain. You should only bring this as a Mage if you are 100% sure about not breaking the chain, or if the chain is not required. It is also necessary to have Dazzling Vortex in at least one deck. Road to Silence, on the other hand, is a filler skill except for the fire element enemies. And lastly, the Spirit's Breath, which is only effective on the magic attacks. If enemy has no magic attacks, for example in the Archelon, then this skill can be replaced with the Cursed Hour or Road to Silence. Also, in this case, skill rotations will be better if Mage is the one bringing the Thorn skill. There are 3 more useful skills which are not used very often because they can break the chain. They can be used by the Yome or by the Mage if the chain is not needed. It is also necessary to have Cursed Hour in at least one deck to use any of these skills. Just knowing what to bring will not make you a good Shaman or Mage. Important thing here is how to use them. And for that, let's see the Shaman in action, while I point out the necessary things. Before going to battle, you should always understand the boss pattern, and I don't mean you should memorize it. One mistake I see everyone making is trying to memorize each and everything about the boss. Don't do that. The only thing you need to remember is when you need to use something and what will be signed for that. Playing Shaman is actually pretty simple. Most of the time you just spam the skills, while keeping the next main debuffing skill on hand. For example here, I am saving the Spirit's Breath for the magic AoE, and in this case, I will only care about if the red aura triggers or not. We don't need to memorize the skill names either, only the animation matters in the battle. You should also know if something else triggered instead of what you were waiting for. For example, in my case, Fafnir got the green aura instead. And because I understand the pattern and mechanics, I know that nothing else requires my attention, so I just go back to mindless spamming to maintain the chain. Actually, there are other things which need our attention as well. Calamity, for example. It triggers only after the end of Thorn debuff, which means it will not trigger if the Thorn skill is used again before the end of duration. Also, Thorn and Calamity are treated as different debuffs, so they both can be active at the same time. Moonless is another skill which you should pay attention to because it has a long cast time, and if you use it at the wrong time, you may not be able to debuff the boss. Also, using another skill immediately after the Moonless is necessary to maintain the chain. For other skills, we can actually wait few seconds after casting the skills. Make sure to keep this in mind, because it can be useful in bosses like Archelon during the cooldown debuff. If you use skills slowly during that time, then you will be at less risk of breaking the chain. If you are with another Mage or Shaman, you should decide the debuffing skills before going into the battle, and try not to depend on the stamps from others. Try to learn the pattern and timings yourself, and then you can use stamps as the backup. Let me summarize everything for you. First of all, before going into the battle, always ask what you will be focusing on, and what the other Mage or Shaman will be focusing on. In battle, keep the main debuffing skill at hand, while spamming the other skills. And always prioritize maintaining the chain. Try to also stack the Thorn debuff with Calamity, but it is not necessary, and be careful when using the Moonless skill. Also, don't be shy to kill the party few times for research purposes. One more thing, sometimes it is required to debuff 2 enemy skills in a row, or 1 enemy skill with 2 debuffs. In this case, try to use second debuff earlier than the main skills of the boss, so that it will show up again on the hand around the time you use the first debuffing skill. This can be a little bit tricky. On the other hand, keeping 2 skills on hold can also work, but it can lead to the choice of breaking the chain after the Moonless skill, or getting forced to use the debuff skill at the wrong time. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments, or you can contact me at the Discord. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. See you next time.